Today has been a hectic day. I'm quite frankly glad that it's mostly over. I can't believe it's almost over. It feels like I just woke up and the things are basically mostly intact. So I've been thinking a lot recently, and I've just been feeling down. And really, like the things that I'm pondering, and this is something that we all need to keep in mind. Nothing you're thinking is anywhere close to unique when it comes to philosophizing. So remember that. I mean, it actually should make you feel uh, good in that you share a bond with your common man. You know, as distractions just keep, and pace in general just keeps picking up, it kind of does make not having to focus on the big questions of life, which people shied away from in all times, all the more easier. And as always, it's best to confront something head on, or your suffering is going to be paid back with compound interest, right? Um, and I was thinking, right? I know from the taste of success that I've had that nothing is going to fill the hole inside of you. Is actually true. I thought that was just some BS people said. You know, like some adages are BS, but this is a lot of them are true, and this one is one that is definitely true. Um, when you're really young, it doesn't seem true, but and it wouldn't be for you know a few years, maybe even 10, but eventually it will come back to bite you. And one of the things I always found funny is how people will just go a million ways to try to reach a goal where they'll just end up selling their soul, end up hurting their brothers, and all they did was achieve something in a shorter time. Like maybe it's 1 year instead of 1 to 2 years instead of 5 to 10 years, but you sold your soul, and you could have gotten the same thing, which you may realize isn't as great as you thought it would be, right? So that's why, like the ending of Fargo, I won't digress into that because that was a fun film, but I didn't take anything out of it until the end. It actually kind of hits on this point rather nicely. But so what fills the hole, and why are we questioning these things to begin with? If we are just a species, we're just more evolved than other species. Yet there's all of these things built into humans that animals cannot comprehend in the slightest. I don't care how much of my genes are shared with an ape or a rat. They don't ponder metaphysical questions, and they don't have a reason to. But we do, and we all do. So, like anything, the best way to do it is to face it hands on. So there's a broad way of looking at this subject, and each way you can look at it will help you to a degree. But whether religion, whether just not thinking too much and just kind of trying to enjoy the process of pushing up the boulder up the hill, so to speak, and take some pleasure or pride in having made the world a little bigger. I mean, a little better. Which, by the way, a little better. I'm not gonna digress too much into it, but people have such a bigger impact than we realize. The ripple effect really is real, and a little better is kind of another mind game that's being played. Look, like, my acquiring wisdom, unfortunately, like, the first step is to get rid of all this propaganda that's been pushed on you, and people can say tinfoil hat, what have you, but that's not how I'm oriented. I am extremely dubious and serious when it comes to these things. And what a conspiracy theory is, just real quick, is, yeah, just really, really quick, to simplify things, is, okay, you start out with the premise. Maybe it's probably true. Then you move on to another thing. Maybe it's true, it could make sense. Another thing, maybe it could make sense. But then it just piles on to, this probably doesn't make sense. And then by the time you reach layer 10, it's like, what? There's 0% chance. Like, you'd be better off gambling than doing, what do they call, like, parlays? I don't care. Point is, there's so many ways to try to live this life, and but the answer to what will fill the hole really comes down to understanding. Wait, before I get to that point, what I was saying is, you have to remove so much poison and garbage that's just been spewed upon you at birth. Like, I was kind of talking about in a couple of videos past about corn addiction. It's like you have to get rid of all these poisons before you can even start your journey. Like, you basically have to get rid of all these weight that has been put on your back before you can even begin. But the good thing is, it's a painful process, but you start to feel much better with that alone. But then once you got off most of the weight, then, let's say that you have success financially with women, etc. And now you're at a point where you're starting to get that second wave of depression where you've succeeded and you still don't feel, I won't say happy, because I think every reasonable person knows that you're only going to be happy a small amount of time. Most of the time it's just, most of it is monotony, with little bursts of joy once in a while, depending on the day, etc., etc. You know what I'm talking about. But you reach there and you still have this hole. And to be frank, I'm not a big fan of therapy. Tried it, not for me. I'm actually just gonna give it one more shot where I really, really try to find the right therapist, because I don't want to just discount it and tell other people my experiences before I really give it the full shot. But I just don't like it, and I don't think they're gonna help you feel it. Maybe they could be helpful, but it's sure not the end all. Like, people would be like, all the time are like, oh, go to therapy for no. But the best answer I can give to this question is you personally accumulate a lot of wisdom. Obviously, you need the external success to a certain degree. Got that out of the way, and how do I put this? It is a complex topic that I'm really trying to just do quickly. How could I put it? Once you push aside those on the surface thing, yeah, you look good, yeah, but like you fill the hole by looking forward towards the future, in that how you will be perceived. And I don't mean perceived by humans. I mean how you will be perceived 50,000 years from now. Like when you look at things through that lens, you will find that answer within you individually that fills your hole. Cause pause, that was a bad one, but yeah. But seriously, like we're all humans and we have the same needs for the most part. There are always exceptions, but how they're fulfilled varies based on you. And I think that's the best way to answer that question. By is just think, what about 50,000 years later, you looking down at you? What would that person look like? Doesn't matter. 50,000 years later, you're not gonna care what other people are thinking about you. You even even to an extent, your personal relationships, like obviously you want them to be as pristine as possible, but even that, there's something deeper behind that, and that's what you have to really go after. But the problem is people kind of focus on that first, and that's really actually a later stage thing. People think it's the beginning. No, that's more of an end. Like, you really want to focus on these minutia of, are my hormones good? And I'm not saying be perfect by any stretch. The 80-20 rule applies, like, or I would say more like 90-10 in this case. But it just makes a big difference. And then when you do things properly, you will get that success. It takes what it takes, but as long as you don't sell your soul for it, it will be good. And so that's really the only time you should be thinking about that, right? And it's just, I hope that my little exercise makes sense, because it really has for me when I just, those late nights where I'm pondering, what will fill that hole that I know will still be there. Like, again, I'm not needing that right now. Right now, I just want to get all the weights removed, and I'm aware of that fully. But I guess even when you're kind of in the mud of things, it's still good to ask this question from time to time. Just don't start there. It's just way out of your zone when it comes to, you start with the basics first, and you will start to feel so much better just doing that alone. And it will push away any of that existential thing for time. Like, it'll buy you some time, so type of thing. But then the answer, you will find the answer. And I'm not gonna make this a religious thing, but it, trust me, you will find it. Asking, you will receive. Seriously. So that's my answer to that question. I just wanted to create a little broad philosophical discussion out of nowhere. Um, I say all that just to say I've been feeling really down, and things are sucky. But I'm just prepared to grind it out of the mud. Uh, and I'm have learned enough to know that that's all I need for the time being. So I hope you got a little out of this. I don't know if that made sense, but I appreciate everyone for watching, and take care.